Otis, go tell them to be quiet. Greetings, 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 greetings. This is Bishop Tony Minor, and this is a segment of Around Town with Bishop Tony. This will be a weekly podcast when we talk about contemporary issues that's happening in Cleveland, happening in our state, and truly happening around the world, contemporary issues. We are live here at the Global Worship Center at Community of Faith Assembly in the Slavic Village community. We are a transformational community in which we provide meaningful services to people in our fellowship, people around the community, and we are about community transformation. We also have a weekly church service in which we honor the Lord, we hear a word of encouragement, but most importantly, we are called to serve this present age. This podcast is very, very important for us so that people in our community, people around the state, and even around the country can hear about contemporary issues that impact our day-to-day lives. As you know, we are in the midst of a special election, so we're encouraging people to vote. We're encouraging people to verify their voter registration. This is, in fact, the very last weekend in Ohio to check your voter registration. Monday is the last day to register. So it's important that you participate in the electoral empowerment way of life. We are about public policy, and we are about making sure that elected officials are doing their job. On today, we're going to talk a little bit about violence in the community, talk about our young people. We have a special guest, Danny Baldwin, who is going to share a special program that he runs. We have each and every week a program spotlight. Then we're going to go into our main segment, which is going to be on healthy eating, healthy living. And we're going to hear from two individuals that are very active in that work. So we're going to begin with Brother Danny Baldwin. That Danny runs a very important program called Are You Angry? He's going to talk about that very briefly, just 3 or 4 minutes, just to hear a little bit about his program. And he just recently had a conference, and I want him to just to talk about that conference called Are You Angry? So I'm going to just begin with Brother Danny Baldwin. Why don't you just tell us very briefly about yourself and how Are You Angry came into being? Danny.
Well, thank you, Bishop Minor. Excuse me. I'm glad to be here and be in the presence of a great individual who I come to respect and love as a mentor and a friend. He and First Lady LaToya have invited me into their building, their church, to speak. Thank you. I do Why Are You Angry? It's a profit organization powered by a nonprofit, Enrage. And in this ministry, it's a movement. And what I started this because I got 6 sisters, and 3 of them would really rage and would get so upset about the least little things. And one of the sisters, who's a very respectable sister that I love, who's a very educated professional, and she and we were engaged in conversation, and it just kept escalating, and it got worse. And so many times this happened, okay? And then I said, well, I'm tired. And you know when you get tired, you know when you get to the bottom of the problem that you're trying to solve, I just got frustrated. She hung up, I hung up. And so I began to pray. And prayer, is very important. So I prayed to the Father, and I asked him, I said, what do we need anger for? How come I keep going through this with my siblings? And so what subsequently what happened was he gave me an answer, because I asked him, I said, well, what's the purpose? And when I I thought out about the purpose of anger, it didn't make sense. I was like, this thing is really bad. I mean, you know, it can lead to detrimental outcomes, and you hurt people, you leave scars, and don't let 50 seconds of anger get you 50 years in prison. So he says that ought to be your mission, to go out and find out why are you angry. And those are acronyms, by the way, the letter Y, the letter R, and the letter U, angry. And so in all of that, he says to me, I'm angry. And if you go through the Bible, you can see everywhere in the Bible where the Lord was angry with the children of Israel, with his loved ones, and being disobedient. So anyway, let me move on. So
the program, so then it turned into a program, right? So very briefly, what is the program? Just in 60 seconds, tell us what is the program, Are You Angry?
The program is a movement which teaches modules. I have teaching modules that teach in how to de-escalate, how to process anger, how to get it out, and in a good way, because it's really a detrimental kind of thing. So what we do is we have modules, and we try.
So it's like an anger management type program, right?
Yeah, it's like an anger management.
So you're in schools. So people could invite you. Their churches, the YMCA, Boys and Girls Club. They could invite you to come and do a 3-week session, 4-week session on anger management, right? So what are the age groups? Who are you serving? What age groups are you serving?
Well, we started out K through 12. I went into the schools and I started with K through 12. But then we found out that the concentration, based on statistics, Brother Minor, that we would concentrate between 13 through like 18, 19. And then at some point, young adults,
Okay.
19 and 26.
Okay. So if I did attend a conference you put on, Ted Ginn, Reverend Matthews, group of people came together. There was a conference, about 50, 60 people were there. It was a very good conference, just really workshop, just talking about anger, mental health, of things. So it's important for churches and organizations to know that they could put on a one-time workshop. They could put on they can have classes, 3 or 4 classes on anger management. So what is your phone number? How can people contact you?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that question. You can contact Danny Baldwin. Why are you angry? What's that website? whyareyouangry.com.
Okay.
And whyareyouangry.org.
Okay.
And there you can find the organization under .org, which stipulates how we, came together, the staff and all of that. And then there's a store where you can, buy stuff online. But my contact number is 216-509-9746.
Once again?
216-509-9746.
Once again?
216-509-9746.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We're going to have Danny come back and do some updates. We're going to have others come to really talk about violence. As you know, there's so much violence going on in the community, so many people who are getting shot, so many people are dying. There are so many problems in our streets, right? Violence is terrible, and it's a thing that the whole community, in order to solve it, it takes the entire community. So at this point, we're going to move on our project, and we're going to talk about health and healthy eating. So we have a special guest that are here that are part of that. The first guest that we're going to bring up is Pastor Deborah Shaw, as we talk about healthy eating and healthy living. Amen. And so this is important. Let me talk about that for a minute while our next guest comes. Let me talk about this for a minute, right? As you know, in our community, there's so much obesity, right? And one of the things that we're doing, people know that I work at the hospital at Metro Health, right? And obesity is one of the illnesses, one of the conditions that lead so much to other problems, right? To so many other problems. And so it leads to hypertension, leads to diabetes, it leads to asthma. It's just so much. And so obesity's prevention is tied to how we live. And so there's this concept of healthy living, active living. We all should have a physician. We all should have regular appointments. We all should be concerned about exercise, about diets. Diet is so important. We eat so many foods that are harmful to our health. We should learn about supplements and different things that we can take to help strengthen our immune system and help strengthen our body. Here at Community of Faith Assembly, where I pastor, we said we are transformative ministry. While we have a small worship service, we have a big reach online. But the main thing we do is programs and ministries where we reach a lot of people. One of the things that's really, really important to us is health and wellness, right? Healthy mind, body, and soul. And so one of the persons on our staff is Pastor Deborah Shaw. And Pastor Deborah Shaw has been in this field of healthy eating, healthy conditions. She's been one that does individual sessions with people, and she can talk about that. So we have two people we're going to hear today. We're going to hear from Pastor Deborah Shaw, then we're going to hear from a good friend of mine, Tony Johnson with Buckeye Hill. But first, we're going to hear from Pastor Deborah Shaw. And so I'm gonna just ask her, you've been doing this for some time. Just very briefly, I want you to just have brief responses. Let's have a conversation.
Okay.
So why are you concerned about health and wellness?
Well, myself, as a young person, I was very ill. And as I grew older, I was still ill year after year. My mom and dad did the basic general stuff that people do, go to the doctor, whatever. But I have to say what made the difference is when I became a student at Ohio State University, I met these two young guys who were Muslim, and they were on my floor, and they were around me a lot, and they noticed that I was ill a lot. And so they started talking to me about my diet. I never knew that diet had everything to do with your health. And so today I've studied, my whole mission is research, study, and test about our health, about products. I've lived this, I make products, I've went to school, I got a certification, and I deal with a lot of alternative type studying, dealing with the things that God has provided for us. Medicine is our food.
Okay. So how then do you do this work? So you met these guys, you got some training. So, I do know that you work full time, you're married, you have kids, and you're a pastor here at Community Faith Assembly. So how do you carry out that work? What are some of the things that you do to help people?
Well, number one, as I stated, it's very important to do research and study. I have also been a part of an organization that we have here at our church called Project Help. And currently what I do is I help individuals as well as I'll have group sessions to learn what does health have to do with my body? What does health and nutrition, what is the connection? Because I've learned many people have no clue what they eat affects how they feel. They have no clue. And there are certain predispositions in the African American community, hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol. These things are all preventable, and if you do have them, they're reversible. They're reversible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there are some, one of the things I know that you're a big proponent on is supplements, right? You're a big proponent of vitamins and herbs and vegetables. So just as we get ready to just to kind of close out, just talk about that for a minute. Apart from going to the hospital, getting on all these pills, there are some natural things we can do, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Well, there are basic things that we could do, just keeping our general health. We all know about eating vegetables. We grew up, people tell us, eat our vegetables. But what we don't know is that there are supplements because we usually don't always eat right. And even if we do our best, we do not understand what goes on in the food industry. And so they are not mass producing food that is good for us. So I always advocate for supplements. But people need to understand the type of supplements that we want are from whole foods. We do not want chemical-based supplements. And there are enough supplements out there. As I said, I research, I study, I test. I take these different type of supplements myself over the years. I've been doing this 40 years. And so I first find out, I know the ingredients. I read ingredients on everything. Very important. I worked in a chemical lab before, so I learned about ingredients. And so, as I stated, you need to have plant-based, natural whole food type supplements to assist us.
All right. Okay. That is really good. I need to get in your class. And you talked about Project Help. So she mentioned one of the programs here at the church is called Project Help, HELP, which stands for Health, Education Empowerment, right, and Life Planning. And so every second and fourth Saturday from 10 to 12, we have empowerment classes. Yes. So you can come and take some classes on computer, take some classes on job search, take some classes on reading. Soon we'll be doing math enhancement. We also have grief and trauma support that I do. But we also have a class that Pastor Deborah does on health. So you can sign up for a class, calling 216-883-5036. Let me go back to Deborah. So why is this important? Just in 30 seconds, why is this important?
It's important because we as African Americans have been shortchanged. We need a fair game plan, and we haven't had that. We've been deprived historically in having quality food, even having in our communities, having appropriate stores, grocery stores. So we've been cheated, and we have not had the education to know that we can do better and that we no longer are slaves and we are eating the leftovers and we're going by how it tastes. And that's the way Grandma used to cook it. Yeah, well, Grandma had diabetes and hypertension and high cholesterol. So it's important because what we always did, we cannot continue to do. And I have taken it personal to make everyone that I come in contact with educated about their health and wellness, and they can do better. Whatever situation you are in, God has created the body as the best and ultimate computer in healing itself.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. Once again, that was Pastor Deborah Shaw. She is a health specialist for healthy eating, inspiring people to live a better health life. You can contact the church at 216-883-5036. So I am very excited about our next guest. Toni Johnson has been around. She's a champion in the community. I've known her over the years, and we've worked on a number of different projects together, from the homeless to dealing with violence. I've just seen Toni all around doing so much. So she works at Tri-C. She is a pillar in the Buckeye community. But for me, the part of her and the wonderful things about these giants in our community. That's why I love this podcast, what we're doing around town with Bishop Toni. I love to be able to bring these champions, And so she heads up a group called Buckeye Heal. and it's one for years. It's an evidence-based program where it inspires residents to be concerned about health. There's so much about it. You know what? Who's the best person to tell us about Buckeye Hill? I was so happy to have Tony Johnson. So Tony, welcome. Welcome. Speaking of Mike, my friend.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much.
All right. So what you been up to overall? Before we get into Buckeye Hill, what you been up to? What's important in your heart overall?
Well, taking care of my family health-wise is very, very important. So, a lot of people, like Pastor Shaw talked about just before this, we need to know better to do better about our health, our lifestyle, and the challenges that we face in life. So I've been working on that for a long time. I work part-time at Tri-C, and I met you many years ago when we were both working in the vineyard with the homeless population.
With the homeless population,
Yeah.
yeah. So tell us about Buckeye Hill. What does HEAL stand for?
Healthy Eating, Active Living.
Active living. What is active living?
Well, active living is when you get up out of your seat and do some exercise, when you do some movement, you do some short-term walking. I tell people sometimes if you don't have the ability to walk the streets, walk up and down your driveway. Move your body so that you don't go stiff. So it's like when we don't put no oil in the car, what happens? It stops.
Yeah. So the Buckeye Hill is an organization. So let's tell us first let's start with, what is Buckeye Hill? How did it come about?
Actually, Buckeye Hill came out of a program that Case Western Reserve came to our community to do, and they were providing stipends, right? So they were trying to get people to come together to talk about FreshLink, which was the beginning of our journey on how to live a little bit better. What's going on in your neighborhood? Where do you shop? What's here? And so that's how it started with Case Western. And then it moved on and evolved. And there was a young lady who became a fellow, and it was under the umbrella of Metro Health.
Oh.
So all those 15, 16 years ago, we've had a strong relationship with Metro Health. We had a doctor and a dietitian that used to come to our meetings regularly. And again, in the beginning, they were able to provide stipends to residents.
So what was the purpose of Buckeye Hill? What was the mission?
To inform the residents of how to eat a little bit better, how to take care of yourself, how to actually, one of the things that we always talked about is just a few blocks, few miles down the road, Lyndhurst, Ohio, any of those suburbs, their life expectancy is quite a bit longer than ours.
So, how does it operate? How does the program?
So one of the things that we're doing right now, last year we did a test project with City Fresh, which is an organization that comes out of Oberlin, Lorain County. They go to their farmers in their neighborhood and they do the picking of fresh vegetables. And they transplant them up to Cleveland area, Cuyahoga County. Well, they didn't really have any stops in the city proper. So we were able to get on the list this year as a regular stop. So we've been hosting this opportunity for people to get fresh vegetables from the end of June until the end of October. So we've been offering fresh vegetables opportunity along with a food demo. We have someone that comes and does massage, chair massage.
So does it meet like every week or?
Yes, right now we're doing it every week, every Friday afternoon from 3:30 to 5.
Okay, where's it at?
At the corner of 126.
That's the fresh. That's
The
when they
fresh
get on
stop.
fresh. So the Buckeye Hill. So can people join Buckeye Hill or do they
Absolutely.
participate? So how do they join Buckeye Hill?
All they have to do is contact us. We do have a Facebook page and we have an Instagram account, And my name is on, and number is on the flyer that we pass out. So they're welcome to call, and they're welcome to get involved if there's something particular. We're always looking for people who can do exercise. We want Zumba, we want yoga, we want line dancing, we want Tai Chi. Anything that you have an expertise in that's around exercise, we welcome you to the committee.
Okay. So, why is this work important?
Well, because we want, it's again. I go back to what she mentioned earlier. You meet so many people who are sick. I mean, all the time. I mean, when they get over one cold, they got another one. So what are you doing wrong here? Something's not right, because your immune system should be a little bit stronger. So how can we help you boost your immune system? And again, many of these conditions are. We claim them. Oh, I got a family history of high blood pressure. Well, you don't have to keep carrying that around with you either. I mean, we can start a new beginning right here, right now. It's important to work with small children, kindergarten, preschool, nursery school, because you see, when you get older and somebody's to the 10th, 11th grade, they don't want to. I find this all the time. I don't eat lettuce. I don't eat tomatoes. I don't eat this. But see, when you give it to them when they're small,
Yeah.
they already got it.
Yeah. So let's talk about young people for a minute. Just a couple more questions. So, what's the danger in the diets and the inactivity, right? The inactivity of our young people.
Well, obesity, and from obesity, we got strokes, we got heart attacks, we got all types of situations that occur because you're just using your two thumbs all day. So, and really we have to encourage children to go. When I was growing up, my son was growing up, people went outside. They played, they ran, they did other things. Now all they want to do is sit on the computer. It has some advantage, but again, you need to move your body.
Yeah. So, I've heard, activists, health activists. So that's a field, isn't it? Health
Yeah.
health.
Yep.
So health activism. What is health activism?
Well, at Tri-C, we have a 2-year, or you can get a certificate. You don't have to do 2 years. But we do have a sports medicine program. We got nutritionists, dietitians. So all of these areas you could get some certifications in, and then you are welcome to do practice. And we have a massage therapist she's a medical massage therapist.
Yeah. So, how can people reach you?
They can go to our Facebook page, which is Healthy Eating, Active Living. And we say, we love to say Greater Buckeye, but our footprint really includes Woodland Hills, Larchmere, Ludlow, Mount Pleasant. So, frankly, we're in the footprint of the St. Luke's Hospital.
So, as I thank you for coming. I thank you so much for what you're sharing. We're going to have you back. We thank Pastor Deborah. I just want to say this before we close. This is Around Town with Bishop Tony. We're going to bring speakers in to talk about contemporary issues, right? Next week, we're going to talk about finances. So we're going to have a pastor at our church. We're going to have a special guest, one of the elected officials, to really talk about personal finances and economics and just some other things. But I want to say about today's segment, right? It is, and I'm going to go back to Tony on this and to ask her if she agrees with me. To establish Buckeye Hill, you could get a Metro Health to come with a grant, or you can get Case Western Reserve to come with stipends, or it could be a group of people in your family, group of people at your church, group of people in your community who are saying that we want to sponsor activities, right, Tony? We just want to do stuff, right? And you can go out and people will come, agencies will come. So just tell people what are just some things they can do just to invite the community into their church. They can rent out. They can just go to the YMCA. They'll give them a space. What are some different things people can do to help improve health?
Well, one of the things we used to do, we haven't done it in about a year or so, and COVID pretty put a stop on a lot of outdoor and activities, but we used to go to some churches after their Sunday service, and we would set up tables, and we would just have different displays about hypertension, high blood pressure. And we would talk about what's the difference in this brand and that brand, what's in it, how do you figure that out? Learn how to read labels is very important. So we would just do a class about that information. We helped one of the churches to renovate their gym, and so we were able to offer it for people to play basketball. We got some of the correction officers come. They play basketball one night a week. So we opened the doors to allow people to have the opportunity. And Fair Hill Partners has a gym. I mean, so we're really out there trying to make these events possible for people. We would like to, and we're hoping to this season, to work with schools as resources, yeah. And we're going to work with them and maybe go into their evening classes and do some workshops, talk about it. You know, the pillars of importance in any neighborhood is to have all the services you desire. That's a pharmacist, a bank, a good grocery store. So, you know, we need, and we got to have some medical care. But, you know, the running away now of pharmacies in our communities, it's a huge problem. But we've got to get out there and make sure that people are aware that there are some alternatives that may not be so, you know, they're here to stay. So let's support those that are here to stay.
All right, so you've heard it. You've heard it. The question is, what are you going to do about it? One of the things that we like to leave with is this word: be the change that you want to see. Be the change that you want others to do. It's not what you hear or what you learn that brings about change in our community, but it's about what you do. Join us next week as we're going to be talking a little bit more about what Tony talked about. We're going to have Dr. Natoya Walker Minor, my wife, to talk about grant making, and so how there are funds available in the community to support some of your programming. Don't miss that. She's going to be doing a master class coming up on grant writing, and we're also going to have Pastor Derek Fellows to talk about financing and insurance. Thank you for joining us this morning. This is Bishop Tony Minor, Around Town. God bless you.